Hey everybody, this is Rustin with Metalholic Magazine and The Examiner, and with me today, the uber-talented and lovely Manda from Nemesea. How are you doing?
I'm fine. We're doing great with Nemesea at the moment, so.
Excellent, excellent. So, well, and this is your guys' third album, The Quiet Resistance, and it drops this month. This is your first album with a major label. That has to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it does, absolutely. Yeah, we did 2 albums before this one. The first one was on a small local label, who also did a lot of things for us. But yeah, the bigger the company, the more they can do for you, and that's the truth, to be honest. And the second one was through an online fundraising system with Celeband.com, and also that was a really nice adventure, but had a lot of downsides to it too. So.
Right, you did pretty well with it, though. I mean, you guys raised over $50K for the In Control album.
Yep, that's true, and went really fast also.
Right. So, but it's been 4 years since that album. Why the big gap there?
Yeah, well, after In Control, when everything looked really amazing, at a certain point, everything started to crumble, and I don't know really why. But there were a lot of people involved, and everybody was waiting for someone else to do something. And yeah, at a certain point, it was clear to us that nothing would happen with this album. So we had some time. We needed some time to stop and to think about what we really wanted. And we even decided a couple of times to just quit with the band. And after thinking about it, discussing it, we decided that the only thing we wanted to do was play and make more albums. And so every time after we said we're going to quit, we just grabbed ourselves together and started again. And well, 4 years later, a new album is ready and almost to be released. So yeah, took us some time, but yeah, we're really happy with it.
Well, thank goodness you decided to stick it out, because it's a great album.
Thank you.
The debut album, Mana, had more of a gothic feel, while 2007's In Control, it had lighter moments, more pop, trance, electronica flavors. The Quiet Resistance feels like it's sort of a middle ground between the two. Am I off base there, or is that how you see it as well?
Yeah, we like to describe it as a fine-tuned combination between Mana and In Control, because Mana indeed was really heavy and gothic metal, to be honest, and In Control was more of a rock-oriented album with indeed a lot of electro influences, and we just wanted to get the best parts out of both albums, and we think that the heaviness should be there again, more heavy than In Control. So that was the part we took from Mana. And but we still really like the combination of rock and electro influences. So that's why we kept the electro parts and well, made it a little bit more heavy. So that's why we like to call it a fine-tuned combination between those two albums.
So it really is sort of defining the band's sound on this record. But is this, I mean, do you feel like you've fully found the sound, or do you think this is just a continuing evolution?
I think it's always something that you have to think about for the next album. Because for Mana, we were absolutely happy at that time. And after a few years, you start to develop yourself as a person, as a musician. Your taste gets different. You get to know about other bands, you learn about different kinds of music, and well, yeah, I think that's an ongoing process, to be honest.
Right. And now, did you approach recording The Quiet Resistance differently than the last 2 records?
Oh, yeah. For In Control, we had, of course, a big budget, a really, really big budget. So we had a lot of opportunities there. We went into a professional studio, and we worked with a lot of professional people. For example, the vocal recordings, they were produced by Tony Platt, who also worked with AC/DC and Iron Maiden. He came to Holland to work with me for 2 weeks. And after everything was done, we brought the whole album to the Galaxy Studios in Belgium. And Ronald Brent, who worked with Lacuna Coil and Rammstein, for example, he did the mix for us. And Darcy Proper, who also worked for Queensryche, she did the mastering. So we had the chance and the opportunity to work with a lot of talented people, a lot of big names. And for the last album, the budget was a bit smaller, so we had to choose where to put the money. So we decided to record everything at home except for the guitars, which is nowadays a lot easier because you have a lot of good equipment. If you have a good computer with a good recording program and good mics, it's not too hard to just record at home. So that was nice. But it was a little bit too bad that we couldn't afford the vocal production guy this time. Tony would be nice to have aboard, but well, that is something we couldn't afford at the time. Yeah, there was it was different from the last time.
Well, it was also different. I mean, you Hendrik and Sonny have been together since the beginning, but this time you took your two new members into the studio, Frank van der Star, your brand new drummer, and then I'll probably butcher his name, but Lasse Del Bruges went into the studio with you as well. How bad did I mess his name up?
Oh, it was really nice. Lasse Del Brugge, but it has the funk, so that's really a Dutch thing.
Well, it was the first time you've taken those two into the studio to do an album. Did that alter the vibe at all, or?
Oh, absolutely. I think that In Control would be a totally different album if Lasse would be on board at that time, but he wasn't. So that's what made this album also a bit different, because the electro thing that we love to do, that is something that he knows so much about. So that's he would have been a great help for the previous album if he would have been there, but he wasn't. So he had a lot to do for this album, so that's why it's the sound design is much better for this album, and that's that's what he did. And for the drums, Frank is a more heavy drummer than our previous one, so the drums are more heavy, and that makes the sound of the album more heavy and thicker, I think.
So what are some of the highlights of The Quiet Resistance for you?
Do you mean songs? Or
well, I know you love the whole album, but are there certain songs, certain aspects of it that are really sort of highlights for you?
Yeah, of course. You always have favorites. For me, I'm really fond of the German song "Allein." I'm always looking forward to hearing that because I'm a big Rammstein fan, so I really love that we have a Rammstein look-alike song on the album. I really love "Say." That's also one of my favorites, and "Release Me" is something I'm looking forward to play live. I'm really curious about how the audience will respond to that song, and of course the ballad is really, really important for me.
"Release Me" has sort of a very haunted feel to it.
Yeah.
The song "Rush" sounds like it would have fit perfectly on In Control. On this album, it almost seems to stray from the rest of the album a bit. It's really almost a straight-up electro trance song when I first listened to it.
Yeah, that's true. And to be honest, it's really funny you say that. It was one of the songs we wrote in the In Control period, but I'm not sure why, but it didn't make the album at that time, and we decided to give it another try, and as I told you before, Lasse had a really big influence in how the sound designing went this time. So it's also thanks to him that the song made the album this time.
Now, I know writing the lyrics has sort of been a therapy for you, and it's been nearly a decade now since the band formed. Obviously, you've matured. How do you feel that's affected your lyrical content?
Well, when I started writing lyrics for at the beginning of the band, I always tried to make it a little bit fantasy-like. I didn't make it too personal. I always wrote about something, well, that didn't necessarily had anything to do with me as a person. There are only 2 songs on the album that do have something to do with me. On In Control, it was a totally different thing. I wrote a lot of personal stuff on that one, and yeah, that was absolutely like therapy for me. Also because working with Tony, with the vocal producer, he wanted to know everything about the lyrics, why I wrote them and what the meaning was behind them. So that was really emotional, also talking about my feelings behind the lyrics. And I think on this album, there's also a lot of personal stuff going on. I usually don't talk a lot about my lyrics because I feel it's really important that people find their own words, their own stories behind my words, my lyrics. But yeah, there is a lot of personal stuff going on this album.
Nice. And I think a lot of people who write lyrics feel that way. It's like we as listeners, we want to know what the story is and what you were thinking, but usually artists want us to come up with our own interpretation of what it means to us. So,
yeah.
Unlike a lot of vocalists who are out there today, you've actually been trained in various styles and techniques. Do you find that really helps you, considering the various styles Nemesea uses?
Yeah, absolutely. I ask a lot of myself. I sing. I use a lot of techniques in my singing. The belting technique, it's a difficult one. If you use that technique wrong, you can damage your voice permanently. So I took a lot of training. I studied at a conservatory for 4 years. After that, I took classical singing lessons for 2 or 3 years. Then I started with regular singing lessons again to improve my belting technique for 3 years. And after that, I stopped. I quit it for a couple of years, and I recently started again just to improve my singing again. I love doing exercises with my voice and make sure that how do you say that? I love to have singing lessons and develop my voice.
And a beautiful voice it is, obviously. While it's not much of a surprise that you're inspired by Anneke van Giersbergen, most people might be surprised that you list America pop queens like Christina Aguilera and Kelly Clarkson among your influences.
Yeah, I don't understand why, because I never made a secret of the fact that I have a really broad taste of music, and I love a good song, and then it doesn't matter if it is a pop song or a metal song or a rock song or whatever kind of song. I really love their music, but most important is that they have such amazing voices. They really know what they're doing. Their technique is outstanding, and I can learn so much from them. So I don't know why people always act so surprised when I say Kelly Clarkson and Christina, just because I'm a singer of a rock band. It makes no sense to me, to be honest.
What else might people be surprised to find out about you?
That's about me personally, or musically?
Either, both?
I love listening to classical music. That's a difficult question. I can be really, really shy and insecure. I don't think a lot of people know that from me. And I'm absolutely in love with the guitarist of Rammstein. I hope he hears it and he wants to have us on tour. That would be so cool.
Now, the holidays are coming, obviously. If
Yes.
you guys were to record a Christmas song, what song do you think you'd do?
I would go for the golden oldie, Dreaming of a White Christmas.
White Christmas.
Yes, Bing Crosby. He is the bomb.
Beautiful. I know you're an avid reader. Who's your favorite author?
Ooh, that's also a difficult question. I have to say Dan Brown, because he wrote the Da Vinci Code, and that just, that book is like my Bible. It represents everything that I stand for and that I believe in. So yeah, I have to say Dan Brown.
And of course, I'm told you like to cook as well. Do you have a signature dish?
The Holland hodgepodge. So I like to mash everything together and then throw in a lot of cheese and salt and some nutmeg. Yeah, that's the right word, right?
Yeah.
Nutmeg.
Cheese makes everything better, I'm telling you.
Oh, absolutely. Just throw it on a pizza, throw it on your potatoes. Doesn't matter. It's always good.
So before we get out of here, what would you like to say to the fans and the listeners?
When you're into female-fronted rock music and you love a good catchy song, and I can say that because I didn't write them myself, but I'm really, really proud of HJ who did write all the songs, then you really have to check out The Quiet Resistance because you might like it a lot.
Absolutely. It's a great album. You brought something up in there. A lot of female singers sort of take a front when a band is labeled as female-fronted instead of just noticed as a band. How do you feel about it when people approach you guys not just as a band, but specifically point out that it's a female-fronted band?
Yeah, that's not something I can, how do you say that? Well, that is the truth. It is a female-fronted band, but it's not all about me. You see, without a band, I wouldn't be nowhere, and I would be a solo singer or an artist. So yes, we are a female-fronted band because I'm the singer and I'm female. So that's okay to say. But I always like to introduce the others and make sure that everybody knows that HJ has a really, really big part in this band because he's the one who writes all the songs, and I cannot do that the way he does it. So without him, for example, the band wouldn't exist either because, yeah, without him there wouldn't be songs.
Absolutely. Manda from Nemesea, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. The new album, The Quiet Resistance, out this month on Napalm Records. Great album. Make sure you pick it up, buy it, don't illegally download it, support the artists. I appreciate you taking the time, and we'll talk with you soon.
Okay, thank you very much.